Hello everybody, thank you for checking out my very first video here on YouTube. Um, I quickly wanted to just cover at a high level what I plan to do with this channel. The channel will mostly be to document for myself and my family, my wife, my daughter, in the future, and also just to kind of remind myself from where I'm starting to where I want to go. And hopefully, once I hit the goals that I'm looking to hit, I can look back at these videos and use them as a reference point, I guess, for other strategies or maybe to give advice. And with that, doing these videos, I'm hoping that maybe some people can take a nugget or two from them and learn something as well. I'm by no means a pro, not trying to be a pro. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a pro stock trader, anything like that. I've been investing pretty heavily for the last 4 or 5 years now. Um, did invest in my 20s. I'm in my late 30s now. Did invest in my 20s, but not really investing. It was more of just contributing to a company 401k, and then got into my 30s and realized I didn't really have anything saved, and decided to educate myself. So just a little bit of a background on me, but just quickly want to jump into what my strategy is for this particular portfolio. I have multiple accounts with different brokerages that I use for different things, but I've decided to use a traditional brokerage account that is taxable, um, to build out this, what I'm calling velocity portfolio strategy. And I came up with velocity portfolio because it is the concept of velocity banking, or infinite banking, but kind of a spin on it or a twist on it. So a little bit different. And I don't think this is, or I know this is not new knowledge or some new thing that I came out with. There are a lot of people doing this. I think I'm just doing it a little bit differently and also doing it, I believe, a little bit more conservatively. So let me just jump in. So the objective here is to increase the velocity of the brokerage account to hit financial freedom faster. So, like a lot of people, I don't want to work into my 60s and 70s and not be able to enjoy life. I'm in my late 30s already. I've got a daughter, a wife, I've got a family now, and I'd like to spend more time with them and not work as much. So, I started looking for ideas on how to do that quicker. Obviously, save more is the first thing people tell you, but you can only save so much, right? And you can only save as much as you're making, um, up to what you have as an overage. So I'll dive into what I'm doing to combat that. So the how, I'm using the money that would normally go towards debt and investing it instead, then using margin to pay the debts when due. So I have minimal debt. I don't have credit card debt. I don't have vehicle debts. I just paid off my last vehicle earlier this year. So the only debt that I have right now is my mortgage and mine and my wife's student loans. However, they are very, very high, um, over $700,000 combined between the mortgage and the student loans. So, and you'll see in the parentheses there, mortgage, home insurance, and PMI. Because my mortgage, home insurance, and PMI are all wrapped up into one payment, I consider it one, and then the student loans are two separate loans as well, mine and my wife's. So instead of receiving your paycheck, taking that money, and let's just say on the first of the month, you take that amount of money and you pay it towards your mortgage, your home insurance, PMI, your student loans, and that money's gone. Instead, what I'm doing, which is step one here, I am depositing that money into my brokerage account. So the number I'm using is $6,000. That is rounding up a little bit, but those things that I've listed here equal out to a little less than $6,000 per month that I have to pay towards them. So what I'm doing is breaking it up into 4 weeks, because most months are 4 weeks, 4 Fridays to be specific. And I will point out this works very well because me and my wife get paid on alternating Fridays. So we literally get a paycheck every Friday right now from our W-2 jobs. So it works out very nicely, but you can kind of break this up however you want, I guess. But my plan is to deposit $1,500 per week into the brokerage account. So at the end of the month, I have deposited $6,000. When I'm doing that, every time I make that deposit, just say on Fridays, I deposit 1,500. I split the difference, or close to. I take 50% of that and I invest it into the ticker SGOV, SGOV, as a quote holding for options trading. that money sits in there and earns right now about 4% interest, and it pays monthly, which is nice. I use that money that's holding or sitting in that SGov account and use it to sell cash secured puts and covered calls. So options trading. I do not buy any options. I do not buy any options. Period. I just sell cash secured puts and covered calls. That's it. Step 3. The other 50% will get invested into a mix of high yield ETFs, dividend ETFs, and individual stocks. So right now, since I'm just starting this, I'm really geared towards higher yielding ETFs, close to between 20 and 30% yield, but not all of them. I will jump into my portfolio at a later date and actually show what my holdings are. But right now, I'm sitting between 20 and 30% yield with all of them mixed. Now, I do have some growth stocks in there as well. I have covered call ETFs. I have individual stocks. So it is a mix of stuff. I'm not just going 100% into what a lot of people are going into right now, which is MSTY, MSTY. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to be somewhat balanced, and I am still looking for a little bit of growth as well. Again, I'll jump into a video about my portfolio at another date. Step 4, a couple of days before the first of the coming month. So we're in July right now. So a couple days before the 31st or the 1st. So on the 29th or the 30th of this month, I will transfer $6,000 from the brokerage account into my personal checking account. So I'll take $6,000, I'll transfer it over. And because all of this money is either invested in stocks or invested in SGOV, there's technically no cash sitting in the account. It does not take cash balance to sell cash secured puts, only if you get assigned. And when that happens, I sell USGov to cover the difference. So everything that I pull out is on margin. It's being borrowed. So a couple of days before the first of the coming month, I transfer $6,000 or I borrow on margin from the brokerage account. It goes into my account, and then on the first of the month, I pay all of these things: mortgage, home insurance, PMI, and the 2 student loans. And then I just repeat the process. So ongoing, any income earned from options trading or dividends received pay down the margin balance throughout the month. So after the first of the month, anything I've earned from selling cash secured puts, covered calls, any dividends that I've received, or if I wanted to liquidate a position and I earned a little money on it from capital gains, all of that stays in the account. It doesn't get reinvested, it doesn't get pulled. It goes towards the margin balance. So if I pulled $6,000 and I made $150 selling an option, the balance would now drop to $5,850, and so on and so forth. And I let that happen throughout the month. Meanwhile, the $1,500 obviously that I'm putting in every week goes into new investments. So the first goal of all of this, the amount of option income and dividends each month, I want it to completely pay the mortgage and the student loans, which is $6,000. Second goal, I want it to then eventually cover all of the bills. So everything that is going out on a given month, I want it to be completely covered by this account. Third goal, mortgage, margin balance, and student loans paid off. So not only do I want it to cover all the bills, but I want it to start paying more towards the mortgage, home insurance, PMI, and student loans. PMI is obviously going to fall off, but mortgage and the student loans. So I haven't decided if I'm going to interchange these yet. These might go back and forth. I might decide before I start paying bills with this income or this account, I will pay down or pay off the mortgage and student loans, at least the student loans, and then make this the next goal. So we'll see how it goes. And then the last and final goal, at least for now, is to financial independence, retire early. So I'd like to do that sooner rather than later, but I actually have a tab put together here where I kind of projected it. So this is just very rough that I put together, but month 1, which I started last month in June 2025, the projection that I built out was $6,000, like I mentioned, goes in that I invest from W-2 income. That goes in to buy the things that I had mentioned. My starting portfolio value in this account was roughly about $70,000. So that was the number I used. I was using this account to sell options prior to this. I've decided to change the strategy to what I just explained. So what I had in here was about $70,000. So the first month, the projection would be that I pull out $6,000 obviously to pay the debts that I have. The first month I would make roughly $2,000 from dividends and selling options, and I'd pay $62.88 in interest on this $6,000. What actually happened? I put in $6,000. My portfolio value on June 1st was $72,154, so it was a little bit higher. Some market gains and things like that. My margin balance ended up being $5,753.36, so a little bit lower than here. And then I made $3,255.82 from dividends and selling options, so well above the 2,000 that I had projected here. Technically down into month 16. But I don't, this is gonna vary, so I don't expect that to happen every single month. But I'm gonna track it, so we'll see. Margin interest, I paid $42.54, so lower. That's always good. So my net income, this minus this, was $3,213.28, so much better than I had projected. And then going forward in my projection, I'm hoping, or was hoping when I built this, that I could bring an extra $100 a month from dividends and selling options, and it would just increase until $6,000. And if you go all the way down here, I put it out to when I hit my goal. We're looking at 55 months, or roughly 4.5 years to hit my goal. So after 55 months of depositing $6,000 every month minimum, my portfolio value would be roughly $394,000 with a margin balance of, actually I went 1 month too far. Well, yeah, we'd say it's just paid off. It says negative, but it wouldn't be a negative. So it'd be paid off in month 55. I would be bringing in roughly $7,400 per month from dividends and selling options, and there would be no more margin interest because I would start to pay down the margin interest, or the margin balance, right when I hit the $6,000. So you can see it starts to drop, goes up, 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 and then it starts to drop gradually here. And then eventually takes about 1.5 years, I think, to get it paid down, year to 1.5 years. So by the year 2030, I'd be age 42. These would be my numbers. And when I built this, I built it pretty conservatively. I also did not put any dividend growth. I actually put in that my dividends would drop. So right now I'm looking for looking for a 20 to 30% range. I anticipate by this time, by the end of this, it'll be closer to like 12 to 15, which is still pretty high by most standards, but there are safe-ish covered call ETFs out there that pay roughly this, and I hold some of those. I'll get into those again at a later video. So July 2025, this is all as of the 1st of July 2025. I put in $6,000. My portfolio value was $76,170. My margin balance was $8,281.66. So I'll put these numbers in at the end of July and see where I wind up. Kind of a flash forward. I track this stuff daily. As you can see my tabs down here, which I'll get into again at a later video, but I'm already over halfway there, so I'm kind of on pace to beat this, but again, it depends on the market and a lot of other factors. I've also called my brokerage to negotiate my margin rate. They have not gotten back to me yet. They said they'd get back to me in 3 to 5 days. Has not been that yet, so I'm trying to get that dropped. And then we'll see what my net income ends up being. Now, the one other caveat that I'll put in here, this $6,000 is minimum that I'd put in. If I have an overage for the month, so if I paid all my bills and I have some leftover money, obviously I put some of that into savings or use for trips or other things that I might use it for, but I will put more into this account to accelerate this process. So if I had an extra $1,000 laying around that, I didn't know what to do with, I would take it and deposit it into this account. So then, it would be $7,000 instead of $6,000, and all that's going to do is accelerate this progress over here. So that is kind of a quick rundown of what I'm doing here. I will dive a little bit deeper into future videos, and then I will also dive into some of the other tabs I have down here, like income, my sheet that I use, my actual high yielding dividend stocks or ETFs, and then my entire portfolio breakdown, and also tracking this progress each month as well. But I want to keep this as short as possible and keep them as short as possible going forward. So I'll leave it at that.